Asta versus Tanjiro. As great men from different worlds, both Asta and Tanjiro bear a lot of striking similarities. Along with Deku, many have dubbed them as the new Big Three protagonist in the past few years, and I can definitely see why. Their radiant persona, larger-than-life optimism, and inclination to be warm-hearted are but a few of the character traits that make them appear similar, despite being from totally different fictional verses. Anyways, this video isn't just about getting awed and fascinated by how genuine these kids are. No, this video is war. If a versus battle between Asta and Tanjiro were to take place, who'd win? We'll be going over their stash of abilities, battle IQ, and other such things. So in the end, you can decide the winner for yourself. Though keep in mind that while the Demon Slayer manga has already ended, Black Clover still goes on. We already know about the end of series Tanjiro. Asta's peak is still unknown. Just thought I should mention that before we move on. Wait, did the last 3 sentences just rhyme? Well then, with that said, shall we begin? Now, something I'd like to give credit to both Asta and Tanjiro is their insane ability to adapt to just about any situation. This goes even harder in Asta's case. So it's not just their personalities that are similar. Their battle intellect and the way they use swords to fight is another similarity. Anyways, first we have Asta. In a world where pretty much everyone is blessed with the ability to use magic, he was there. Raised in a church, Asta was an orphan. He was a cheerful kid with a gentle heart, and so when he realized about the discrimination in the world, he decided that he'll become the Wizard King and set things right. It's a dream that he shared with his buddy Yuno since day one. However, we had a problem. How could Asta become the alleged Wizard King when he can't even use magic? Well, we're not going to get into the entire lore and everything, since that is not the intention of this video. But the answer to that question would be something called anti-magic. It's a kind of energy that allows one to nullify magic. In a way, you can think of it as an Uno reverse card, but it's not limited to just nullification. Anti-magic is still very much a form of energy, and one that our protagonist Asta has learned to harness over the years. Another thing about Asta is his insane, almost ruthless obsession with getting stronger. He trained his body like a madman for a little less than a decade. I mean, just look at him. This guy looks like a Greek god. In a battle of physical skills and endurance, Asta always has the edge. He's been training for as long as he can remember. And all this time, he has never given up on himself. Not even once. That alone is enough to make anyone stronger. Then there is Tanjiro, a young, wholesome man, a reliable brother to his siblings, and an adorable son to his mother. Everything seemed fine and pleasant until that one day when the Demon King invaded his home and killed his family. When he returned home, what he saw was a pure nightmare. The corpses of his little siblings and his mother. Only one of his siblings was still alive, so he carries her and starts running, only to then realize that she has now turned into a demon. That's right, within the course of that one night, everything changed. Things happen and Tanjiro decides to become a demon slayer so that he can find the man who did what he did to his family and ultimately cure his sister. Although Tanjiro wasn't training all his life, he still had a sturdy body, a knack for breathing, and the ability to survive against strong opponents. The evidence of which can be seen in how he protected Nezuko against the water Hashira. He also works hard, doesn't give up, and has a particularly ridiculous level of concentration. Though that goes for both of them. They are prodigies in their own right, and their impeccable use of swords cannot be understated. Now, in the world of Demon Slayer, there is this thing called breathing, which can somewhat be equated to magic. There is an elemental nature to it, types, forms, and plenty of supernatural abilities that come with it. However, since they don't literally classify as magic, we're not going to see them as such, which is why Tanjiro's breathing techniques won't be nullified by anti-magic. Going back to Asta, his stack of ability compromises his superhuman physical abilities, expert-level swordsmanship, uncommon endurance, and a lot of that similar stuff. He doesn't have any mana as we discussed earlier, so we can't use magic in the conventional way. But luckily, this allows him to use anti-magic without ever having to worry about the consequences that those with mana have to deal with. His lack of mana pays off in other ways as well, considering how he can't be detected using mana detectors, and he isn't prone to relevant illnesses either. Then we have Kai. It's basically a principle, if you will, and it allows Asta to tap into his sixth sense, using which he can then instinctively sense and react to what can't be seen by the naked eye. He also has the ability to imbue this Kai with concentrated anti-magic to build up some extreme offensive power in his arm. Using his insane physical abilities along with Kai and anti-magic was already enough to unlock several tiers of power, but there is something else that takes him even further beyond: his devil-possessed state. After forging a contract with a devil named Libby, the one who has been granting him anti-magic, Asta becomes able to attain a demonic power. This came in exchange for his right arm, and it's not something that is meant to be recklessly abused. For the sake of context, if Asta uses it for more than 50 seconds, he will destroy himself. He just can't. Which then brings us to another layer of this ability. It's called Unite, and as you can probably guess from its name, it allows Asta to unite with his demon so that they can share that power as equals. It can be used for anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how you use it, and it's pretty handy. It does come at the cost of a lot of pain though. All in all, Asta's beginning and then his growth throughout the series are both astounding, and we can reasonably expect him to get so much stronger. Tanjiro, on the other hand, started off with just a sword. He learned to use water breathing and was able to take on random demons, but he didn't really get strong until he used the Hinakami Koril fire breathing. It was awakened during a near-death experience with his sister's life also on the line, and the way he awakened it was thanks to a memory of his father from the past. Tanjiro didn't really win that fight because he just couldn't physically go on anymore, but he had become stronger. Once Tanjiro learns to weed out the unnecessary movements, he's able to evolve Hinakami Kura to the legendary Sun Breathing. Then there is the exclusive 13th form of the Sun Breathing, and it's just as epic as it sounds. Tanjiro unleashed it for the sole purpose of killing the Demon King. It allowed him to simultaneously unleash all 12 forms of the Sun Breathing at once, and thanks to this abrupt onslaught, Tanjiro was able to destroy Muzen's 7 hearts and 5 brains. Just like that, he won against the final antagonist. However, it doesn't end there. Muzan didn't want his legacy to end, so he managed to transform Tanjiro into a demon right before he was killed by the Demon Slayer corpse. And this ultimately turned Tanjiro into the single most powerful entity in the series. As a demon, his potential for growth was not only higher than his sisters, but also higher than Muzan himself. We're talking about resistance to sunlight, despite being a demon. Almost invincible regeneration abilities, unlimited stamina, and whatnot. Add that with his sun breathing, and not only has he already surpassed the Demon King himself, but he also now has an edge against the strongest Demon Slayer, Yoriki Sugikuni. So what do you guys think? Who would win in a versus battle between Asta and Tanjiro? I'll give you a hint. The power scaling and world building in Black Clover is more extensive than it is in Demon Slayer. Go wild in the comments section. Let's see who we've got as the winner. Also, don't forget to leave a nice like and subscribe. It seriously goes a long way. Well then, with that said, I'll see you guys on my next video.